Now, the Deputy Speaker, Nigeria's House of Representatives, who also happens to be the chairman, Constitution Review Committee, his name is Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu. He put out a statement yesterday asking that people, be part of the national public hearing on constitution amendment or constitution alteration bills. Now, I thought, that was just it until I saw like a bit of the program for the event, and then I noticed that the citizenship. I'm still trying to find the program of today's event, but I hope that this is, just something that folks are talking about. The idea of the citizenship and indigenship status bills, or bill that, no, bills actually, there are four bills: new citizenship by investment, granting citizenship rights to spouses of Nigerian women, and then granting indigen status to persons by reason of birth, marriage, or settlement for not less than 10 years. Now, we've been talking about this since March, so it's not new, but it's important that we actually keep talking about it. Not because there's like an inherent or whatever form of hate towards anybody, but because it's important that we actually understand what's up and that we don't become manipulated by certain people based on our ignorance, which of course, hopefully as we have these conversations, we do away with and we embrace knowledge. I said that to say that of these four bills, the only one that, two makes sense, which is citizenship by investment. This happens all over the world, especially in the Caribbean, in the islands, even the US, where you could invest a certain amount of money. It could be $100,000, it could be $150,000, it could be $250,000. The country gives you that, and then you invest in the country. The people are able to work, and then you can become a citizen, that way. So it happens in many countries. So to want to have that in Nigeria makes sense. The second one is granting citizenship rights to spouses of Nigerian women. It also makes sense. And I'll tell you, I'm sure we all know why. So before now, and even at the present, it's easier for a woman married to a Nigerian man to become a citizen of Nigeria than for a man married to a Nigerian woman to become a citizen of Nigeria. In other words, if you marry a Nigerian man, you become a citizen straight up. If you marry a Nigerian woman, it's not certain. In fact, it may not even happen. So to say that you want to grant citizenship rights to spouses of Nigerian women, that also makes sense. But you see, this indigene nonsense, again, with all due respect to anybody who came up with the bill, it's absolute rubbish. It's hogwash because you cannot legislate indigenship by birth. Indigenship is not about citizenship. You can become a citizen by birth. And every Nigerian born of a Nigerian is a citizen. Even the one who can't make her husband a citizen, their children are citizens automatically. You see? So the idea of becoming a citizen by birth is a bit warped, to the best of my knowledge. So we spoke against it. Petitions were written against it. There are a lot of consultations, and eventually the person who sponsored the bill, who also happens to be the Deputy Speaker of Nigeria's House of Representatives, he withdrew it. But in the last 24 hours, it's been everywhere. People are talking about the fact that it's like he's staging a comeback. People are concerned, as they should, right, that this bill is probably going to be one of the things they're going to be discussing today. But all of that to say that, make no mistakes, this thing is not a one-off thing. It didn't start in 2025. It's not going to end just like that. It's been around since the 1940s. It's what Iransi tried to do in 66. It's an agenda that's in the heart of people. And like I said, and I think if you've been here for a while, you would understand. You must have heard me say this before, that ideas don't die. It's like energy; they don't really die, unless of course you're able to repurpose the idea or repurpose the energy. This idea of wanting to be able to penetrate other parts of Nigeria, some people have it in their mind. Be money, all right, and so. In other words, you have to constantly push back at things like that. But apart from that, I really hope that a lot of these conversations will get to a point where not only will we be spending a lot of time pushing back, but we're going to actually sit down and create a structure that recognizes the uniqueness of different ethnic nations in Nigeria. I've said this before, it's not because I'm not patriotic, it's just because I prefer to be truthful. Nigeria is not a nation. Nigeria is a country. It's a political entity. That's the only difference between what it is right now and what it was in 1947 when Papa wrote the book Path to Nigerian Freedom. You see, in 47, Papa wrote in there, said Nigeria is not is a mere geographic expression. And we have that appellation because it talks about the fact that we are living within the borders of the country. I'm paraphrasing what he said. Well, we have done a bit better than where we were in 47, where we're just a geographic expression. At least now we've become a political entity. So it's a country, and it's a sovereign country, but it's not a nation. And I don't think it will ever be. And I don't think it's a problem. And I'll give you an example. You see, yesterday I was listening to a journalist, well read. So there was this podcast, and they were talking about Nigeria, and he kept going back to that thing of, we are one. We have not gotten to the point where we build a nation. I mean, I was like, have we learned nothing? Have we learned nothing? Yes, is that idea of want to build a strong nation. One nation bound in freedom, peace, and unity. Thank God they changed the anthem. It's just motivational. It's just morale boosting song that cannot work in reality. And the reason is not because the person singing the song doesn't want it to work. It's because it's against nature. It's against nature. It's against nature, for instance, to have a man with penis get pregnant. It's against nature. So what we're doing in Nigeria really is, instead of having the man and the woman mate, or maybe you have IVF and work with a woman, work with nature, and let a woman actually, she has a womb, carry the baby to term, what we're doing is we're trying to make a man, an adult male human, to get pregnant. And we are saying all things are possible. There's nothing that's impossible. Can do all things. Do you believe it? We are wasting time. Nature has already given us, a template. Why not just work with the template? Rather than work outside, in the name of working outside the box, we are literally just living in fantasy land. And then we'll now go and hire motivational speakers to be talking to our children every day. Nigerian unity will be the nation. Nigeria is a country of many nations, and it is not a minus. It's a plus. This unity we've been looking for since the 50s into the 60s. It is not going to come. And I'm not saying that as a pessimist. I'm saying that as somebody who thinks that the people, let me say it this way. The folks who are shouting, let's unite, they're the reason Nigeria is not progressing. And the question I want to ask everybody is this: what do you really want? Growth or the fantasy of unity? Because you can't have it in reality. And I've said this several times. Whenever people say things like, let's work together, let's forget our identity, let's forget who we are, I tell them, listen, would you want to forget who you are and take on what I am? As long as you don't want to. I know that's not, because the kind of unity I used to know is that you are who you are, I'm who I am, we can work together. This thing where you want to become an indigene of my space after living there for 10 years, it's an insult to the memory of my ancestors. Who are you? You came in through the back door, you're going to legislate indigeneity. You're not going to go through the normal cultural process of becoming one with the people. You don't really care for that. You're not going to go through the normal process of integrating. And we've had sessions on this. We have a video on YouTube on how you can't become an indigene by residency. We did a video about that some time ago. But just in case you haven't heard me say it before, here's the truth. You see, every culture, every developed culture, I should say, has a process through which they take in outsiders. In other words, those outside that circle, in very developed cultures, they can become members of that group, even on an ethnic basis, and have the right of the indigenes. And you know what? I think at some point I'm going to write something down I would want us to have a session on indigeneity, especially between the Hausas and the Yorubas, and what has happened. So let me say the Hausas, yes, I was going to say nothing else. The Hausas and the Yorubas, and how it has worked in the last couple of centuries. It has happened, by the way. It happened long before Nigeria. There are two major ways by which you get to be part of cultures. Number one is you could assimilate. Number two is you could integrate. To assimilate means that you jettison where you're coming from and what you had, and then you become essentially part of the new group. So you're now one with them. We have many examples of that in Yoruba land, for instance, where people, for instance, and we have Yoruba people also who did this. I'll give you examples, for instance. Let me use Edo and Yoruba. Let me use Benin and Yoruba. There are some chiefs in Benin today. I'm not just talking about the king. Now, of course, the king is as well, but there are chiefs in Benin today. When they greet, they will say Lauhe. Uhe is Benin for Ife or Ufe. And the interesting thing about Benin culture is actually quite interesting, is that they're greeting, the way they greet each other, within it you can tell sometimes the origin of the people greeting. Some people will do Lamogun. Those people are from Ife. They are from Yoruba land. That's why they say Lauhe. They are Ife. But they are not Ife people anymore. They have Ife origin or Ife ancestry, but they are now effectively Bini. They are indigenes of that land. There's a process they went through. It's called assimilation, where they forgot about being Yoruba. They became Benin. So I cannot call them Ife people, but I can acknowledge that they have Ife roots. So let's say, for instance, something happens and they need my help based on where they are from. I can't say, oh, I don't know you. I know you, but you are Edo. But we can relate based on your great-grandfather or great-great-grandfather or something like that. So you know the origins, but not the present reality of the people. They are not indigenes of Ife. They are indigenes of Benin, but they have Ife origins. That's assimilation. The same thing happened from the Benin Yoruba side. See, back in the day, a lot of Edo traders moved into Yoruba land, into Owo, into Akure, into Ondo, into many Ekiti towns. Some of them would even, have their own colonies, like trade colonies, like groups. Over time, some of them became part of the people. I'll give you one example. It's even in Idonre. I didn't mention, I mentioned Lauhe, so I might mention this one as well. The very first professor of philosophy, female professor of philosophy in Nigeria is Professor Sophie Oluwole. Her surname, her maiden name is Aloba. But her grandfather was actually from Edo State. They assimilated. Her own father became a Yoruba man. When she was born, she was a Yoruba girl. When her brother was born, was a Yoruba boy. She became a Yoruba woman. He became a Yoruba man. Their great-grandfather may have come from Edo, but they are Yoruba people, and they can say they are from Idonre. There is a process. They assimilated fully. They don't need any law that says they must become citizens after indigenes after. I put out a video last week. Funny, I didn't even think I was going to read this, but we're just talking. No, we have not gotten to the topic yet, so I might as well read something there. I put out a video last week of what the king of Boni, what he said about Jaja Vokubo. So I put a video out before then when I said that Jaja Vokubo was an Igbo boy who became an Ijo man. Why? He assimilated. He became part of the culture. And then the man said, Boni is not Igbo.
On arrival, Boni went from Madubushu. The ceremony called Madubisha, which made him a freeborn of Bonny. Until he died, he spoke the Malay language. If by accident we are not able to keep pace with him, we will eventually get back to the basics of the Malay language. We'll try to do that. So whoever, for whatever reason, thinks it can tie us for us, well, that person must be not well informed. Is John through and through.
You see, when he said it, they say insult. I put out the video, and I made an insult. But I want to read something to you from a book that was published in 1921. Maybe this is going to help. I didn't plan to read this before, but I mean, what are friends for? Let me read something to you from the Igbo country, Among the Igbos, by G.T. Basden. This book was published in 1921, so let me read to you. And I'm repeating the date so that you understand that it's not like a recent thing. In the Delta districts, and especially in the neighborhood of Bonny and other coast towns, they are not, let me go back a bit. The limits of the Igbo country have now been approximately defined, and the territory apportioned into their districts. A network of government stations has been established, and trading and missionary interests show evidence of vigorous prosperity. The Igbos are distributed over the greater part of the central province of the protectorate and number about 4 million. That is probably half the total population of southern Nigeria. In the Delta districts, and especially in the neighborhood of Bonny and other coast towns, they are not indigenous. They consist chiefly of slaves under the control of heads of houses. These slaves often outnumber the original inhabitants, and their language is of such vitality that Bonny Igbo predominates over the other dialects of the district. That's how they became more there. I don't want to explain it. But you understand. But here's the point. It's also similar to what happened in Ikwere, where a lot of people were brought into Ikwere, for onward. They're supposed to be passed along to folks from Europe. I don't want to explain, but I hope you get the point without me having to go into the details. But the point I'm trying to make is this. When those people get into that place, they take on the identity of the owners of the place. Assimilating. You don't tell the owners to make you an indigene without you having to lose anything from where you're coming from. That one. You're not even trying to do that one. So like I said, there are two options. Assimilation is one. The other one is integration. Integration means that you are still who you are, but you are with the people of the land. So you can learn the language, but you are still who you are. For instance, the Ogomosho in Jos, the Ogomosho in Kaduna, the Ogomosho in Ghana. Some of them have been there for decades, even about centuries. The point is, they are not Ghanaians. They are still Yoruba, but adapt. It's the same reality you saw with the way we were in the north, Yoruba people, how some assimilated, many more actually decided to integrate, right? Where you still hold on to your identity, but you are not averse to the culture of the people of the land. Now, these people who are looking for indigene status in people's homeland, they don't want to assimilate because they think that that's way they are losing something. Well, you have to lose something to gain something. They don't want to integrate because they think maybe their culture is superior, and that's the funny thing. You can't see any. There's nothing that you can really hold on to that you're saying is better than every other person. So you don't want to assimilate. You don't want to integrate. You now want to legislate indigeneity. That can't happen. You can't. Because the people of the land, the ones who have say over their land, there's a way they run the place. And because you didn't come in through their culture, you can misbehave anyhow. You can act based on where you are coming from. And say, are we not all one Nigeria? And my question is, why are people not happy with just being citizens? Why must you be an indigene? Nowhere in this world, guys, if you think I'm wrong, please, when it's time to come up, when it's time to bring people up, please come up and show me where in this world the rights of indigenes are brushed aside and people who are not from there ancestrally are made indigenes in the name of unity. Unity, they don't want unity, it's to take over. And I feel sorry for the minorities in Nigeria. If a minority, and again, like I always say, minority is not an insult. It means that you don't have as many numbers, right? You don't have so many people. If you're a minority and you're celebrating this thing, now you then go take, now your head then go take break the coconut. Because what it means basically is that your place can be taken over. And I know a lot of people don't say it cannot happen. Okay. Go and tell the Korean people that. I put out a video on Equity the other day. Again, like normally, I mean, it happens. People will insult you. Fair enough. But listen to them talk. Listen to people in Bonny, the one I just read right now, when people are telling you that their land, that Bonny is Igbo land. Equity is Igbo. The video, I played a part of it. They were asking Dr. Okachiku, like, why? And he said the same thing. It's the sea. It's the sea. They're desperately looking for access to the sea. Why do they want to be indigenous of other places? It's the land. And I've said it several times. There were 3 major reasons they declared Biafra. It had nothing to do with people fighting anybody. 3 reasons. It was the land. They wanted land in other people's spaces that was fertile. Their own land wasn't and still isn't fertile. So they want land, fertile land. Among the rivers, people in present-day Cross River in Akwa Ibom, those ones had fertile land. The agricultural revenue of the eastern region at the time, more than 60% came out of those places, not from Igbo land. So they wanted the land. They also wanted the sea. And that was what happened in Abonema and Degema happened. That's the reason for this thing. Meanwhile, let me say this. I believe that southeastern Nigeria, Igbo land, I believe it is blessed. I told somebody this yesterday, and it was like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Of course, of course, of course." The land is blessed. It's just not blessed in the way others are blessed, and because you are focused on the blessings of others, you will not see your own blessing. You keep running away from home. You are running away from blessing because all you are looking at is see the other person. And that's why I discovered that if your culture is built on comparisons, you can't make progress as a people. It's not that there's nothing in the East. But they've been told that they've been disenfranchised, they've taken things. Nobody took anything from you. So even the things that God has blessed you with, you are not seeing it. Are you really telling me that there's nothing inside that soil? Oh, it's not fertile. It's not good for agriculture. Is that the only reason for the earth? Is that the only reason for soil? There must be something there. And of course, yes, there's gas in Imo, which of course has not been tapped yet. But I believe, of course, there's solid minerals there, which is why we also have to push for this resource control thing. There's no way you're going to tell me that Igbo land is not blessed. I choose not to believe that. You say, oh, the land is small. So what? How big is Singapore? Or you say, oh, they can't plant stuff in their land. How about Israel? Like there's something, there's no part of Nigeria that is not blessed. The one that looks like it's not blessed is the one that compares itself with others and uses the definition of others' blessing as the yardstick for what blessings mean. Someone said Lagos soil. Who would want to plant in Lagos? Apart from the fact that the soil is not even about that. Like the land is better, so used for real estate. And that's why, because it's partnering with Ogun State, we are building something in the southwest right now. Dawn Commission put out a notice, put out a news. Was it Dawn Commission? Yeah, Dawn Commission and the Commissioners of Agriculture of the state 6 southwestern states. They had a meeting a few months ago. They're trying to work together. They're not going to think of planting in Lagos. They'll think of, so imagine that an Ibadan person is thinking that because there's no sea in Ibadan, he's disadvantaged. Like, oh, there's no sea, oh, there's no sea, oh. They have marginalized, God has marginalized us. What kind of nonsense? I grew up in Ibadan, by the way. Ibadan does not have sea, but Ibadan is an expanding city. I've not seen any city like that ever. I mean, other cities try, but no city comes close to Ibadan. Ibadan moves like this. Almost should be concentric circle. Go to the heart of Ibadan, and that's by the way, that's one of the reasons Ibadan doesn't. That's why you have those old, brown roofs in those places in Ibadan. That's the reason you have it, because it has so much land. Instead of pulling down the old structures and building new one, you just go and clear another portion of land. That's what Ibadan has that Lagos doesn't have. It's called comparative advantage. But if you spend your life comparing yourself with someone else, you will not even see your own ability. I believe Igbo land is blessed. That's what I believe. I've been there, by the way. I've been to 4 of the 5 states in the southeast. And when they complain and they're always talking about what is not working in their land, I'm wondering, but I've been to your place now. They say, no, it doesn't matter. I've been there. I mean, yes, you can see what's not working, but you tell me that nothing works. I'm actually pausing to talk about this because I think it's also important to put this thing out there so that one doesn't come across as maybe you hate one group. See, what I do is primarily to enlighten Nigerians generally, and then to protect Yoruba space. It's not because I hate you, it's because I love me or I love my people. But if I love my people, that love will also flow towards you. And the way it's flowing towards you this morning is this: there is something good in your land. So why is everybody running away from it? I'll say this, and this is not today's topic. Listen, the reason you can't stay at home is, there are natural reasons. Oh, the land doesn't support the people, the place is densely populated, all those things. Yes. But let me ask a question. And this is how you think if you really want to grow. What would you do as an Igbo person? What would you do if you had nowhere else to go but home? What would you do? And let me tell you something, living in the southeast is rough. One of the reasons people died during the war and suffered from kwashiorkor was because ordinarily the southeast has always been an importer of protein long before the war. But for some reason, there is no river, there's Imo River. Maybe you don't have bodies of water that are as big. You can create ponds. Like, there has to be a way. That's what I'm trying to say. You can't be saying something's happening at home, therefore I must. By the way, I don't see any problem with you coming to my place because whatever is happening at home. But the thing is, you come to my place thinking you have some right to just move anyhow. That's what is pissing people off. But let's even forget about me for a second. Are you really telling me that there's nothing that can happen in that home? There's insecurity right now. All those things happen because of a particular mindset. The mindset that you own everywhere else but home. That you can go anywhere and do anyhow. The mindset that people are cheating you. Those are the things that led to UGM. Those are the things that led to ESN. That's what led to sit at home on Monday. What do they call it? Monday sit at home. That's what led to it. We're going to fight them. They are holding something. They're not giving us something. What exactly are you not getting? There are 5 governors in the southeast. They collect allocation now. There are 58 representatives in Abuja. They collect their own stuff now. You have House of Assembly in each state of the southeast. I just think I should pause to say this, that there has to be something good about that place. God can't just create a place and decide to make it barren of everything good. It could be barren of agricultural productivity, but it can't be barren of everything good. There has to be something in that place. My own people found glass in sand 1,000 years ago. Somehow they found it and created an economy based on just that. You know the glass beads we talk about happening in Ife? This glass bead is from sand. How did they find that thing? If people can think that way and create something, how can human beings with degrees like thermometers speak in 2025? And all they are saying is that we have a right to be here, we have no home to go to. How? And because of that mindset, the ones who are hating on you are the ones you support. Anybody that tells you sit at home on Monday hates you. Anybody who today is Monday. Nobody will now go to work. Then you have the ones carrying guns, gentle Yahoo. Many of you cannot even speak against it. Meanwhile, you call other people cowards. Are you not a coward? What is so bad at home that cannot be fixed? It's just a question. Please think about it. I don't know. I just felt like, because I don't believe it that there's a part of Nigeria that is so terrible. Nothing can work. They hate me. Iran. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that. Every place has something. And I'm not talking about the gas. By the way, there's some clowns these days saying that, oh, we can move anywhere in Nigeria because the gas you're using in Nigeria comes from Igbo land. It's not true. Your gas is still untapped. So we've never started touching it. And my prayer, like I always say, is that when that time comes for the gas in Imo to be tapped, may there be resource control at that time so that you can have all your resources. You've got to develop. And your growth is your responsibility, to be honest. You can't be looking for indigene status in people's land. It's the spirit of a thief. I don't care who is the spirit of, I'm not saying the person is a thief, but that spirit now only. All right. So please, God will open your eyes. Let me end by saying this. There's a scripture. I'm a Christian. There's a scripture in Jeremiah. It talked about people who put their trust in men, and it says those people will not see good when it comes. It's not that good is not coming. It is that they are incapable of seeing it. Generally, for all of us, I'm praying that all of us will recognize good when it comes, but particularly those of us who are constantly looking at other regions, you will not see good when it comes. It's not a curse. It's the condition of your mind. You can't observe possibilities around you because you are focused on what's happening in another person's compound. There's something in your own house too. God don't just create something, just makes everything just terrible, make anything all work. Can't they go everywhere, they constitute nuisance, they tell everybody saying like this and go, they do your own land, though. I have a right to your place, so because you don't run come up for your whole house. Haba. So that indigene bill is dead on arrival. Nobody cares about it. And those who are doing it, we know you. We know it's something that is dear to you. We're going to call it out and tell you straight up, it's the thinking of a thief. If you want to become an indigene, go through the process of the people who own the land that you want to become an indigene of. If you don't want to go through that process, it means that you don't understand what it means to have culture and civilization and systems and structure. And it's not that difficult. Just evolve.